Hello, coolers. Welcome to Viva Barca and welcome to another interesting episode where we are going to be discussing on the latest developing stories. We are going to be discussing on two stories. We start with Pablo Torre, as manager Xavi have asked the youngster to be patient, and of course, the Barca talents have been asked to play for the reserve team. We are going to be discussing on that as we progress. Then, secondly, talking about Sergio Busquets, as it has been reported that the Barca legend is still waiting for a contract offer from Barcelona. We are also going to be discussing on that. So guys, before we get right into the full story, please do ensure to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post bell notification to always stay notified whenever I post a new video. Consider liking the video and please watch it right up to the very end. Pablo Torre has been one of the few young players in the Barcelona team who has struggled to get regular minutes under the leadership of Xavi Hernandez. Arriving from Racing Santander last year as one of Spain's most talented young midfielders, the 19-year-old has not quite been able to establish himself as a regular starter in the team. He has featured in only one league game thus far, falling behind the likes of Gavi, Pedri, and Frankie de Jong in the pecking order. A recent report from Albert Roque has offered an update on Torre, suggesting that the teenage prospect struggles at Barca have not gone unnoticed, and it appears the player had a meeting with Xavi during the winter transfer window, when the player was linked with a loan move away from the Camp Nou. During the meeting, Torre and Xavi agreed on a pact, where the Barca coach asked the player to feature in the reserve team, but whenever possible, he will be able to play for the first team. In other words, Torre will be featuring in Barca Athletic matches as long as it is compatible with the first team. For example, Barca Athletic are set to lock horns with UE Cornelia this Saturday at the Estadio Ciutat Dani Yaje in Barcelona. Meanwhile, the first team is set to take on Sevilla on Sunday at the Camp Nou. Torre therefore will be able to feature for both teams. However, if the first team embarks on a long trip or a trip abroad, Torre will travel with the senior setup instead of staying back for the reserve side. So the idea is for Torre to get maximum opportunities to play in the first team so as to not hinder his progress at the top level. Pablo Torre has been one of those players that have been begging for game time but can't find it. When we consider the competition that he has in midfield, you can't see him really bust into the scenes and get games week in, week out, as it has been the case. And the player have never hide his frustrations about that. Pablo Torre is a player, from what I see, a player who wants to always get involved in dynamics and a player who of course have big dreams. We quite remember he carried Racing Santander from the third division last season to the second division, and Barcelona identified the talents of this guy and were quick to bring him to the Camp Nou Spotify. And since then, the player have not really had that chance to showcase what he's got. But of course, Xavi continued to have faith in him. But the midfield that we have right now is so choked up and very talented as well. So to break out into that midfield, the talent must be so brutal. We see the likes of Pedri, Gavi, all doing a marvelous job. Frankie de Jong, So Pablo Torre to have regular game time will be so hard. We quite remember when this season began, the player was asked to play for the Barca Athletic for most of the times, and to be honest, he was so disappointed, to the extent of even disrespecting the coach of the Barca B, not even playing some games when called upon. And that was not even a good remark, but Xavi understood his frustrations, called him back to the senior team to always be training with the senior team, and even gave him a debut in the Champions League, last year. And he have just played just one more game since then in La Liga. So definitely you will understand that Pablo Torre will be frustrated still about the turn of events, and definitely Barcelona will also understand his situation. Xavi and the player got to have a pact prior to this deadline day on the January window, that the player will play for Athletics, the Barca Athletics side, but will also be featuring alongside the first team. I definitely think Pablo Torre will understand that, but I definitely think that there will be a time that his time will come. Let's just see. Nobody was expecting the kind of Pedri situation when Pedri was, seen from a club in the second division and was just brought immediately to the team, and Pedri started picking form and become one of the main players in the team. People thought Barca wanted a repeat of that Pedri situation when they went for Pablo Torre, but that exactly has not been the case with this young prodigy. So I think that if Torre always uses the opportunity given to him by the manager to play so well, I think the more he uses every single opportunity to the highest level, then he might stand a chance at some point. But if he allows his frustrations take over him, and when Barca call him to play, he's not playing at his best level, then that might not be something that will help him in his future as a player for Barcelona. Then on to the next story of discussion. Barcelona captain and legend Sergio Busquets has less than 5 months left on his current contract with the club. The 34-year-old La Masia graduate has served the club with great distinction for almost 15 years, making over 700 first-team appearances, but his time at Camp Nou seems to be edging closer and closer to an end. Indeed, Busquets' contract with Barcelona stands to run out at the end of the ongoing season, and why manager Xavi Hernandez has made his wishes of wanting to keep the midfielder at the club clear. Busquets is yet to receive a new contract from the Barca, yet, and is still waiting for an approach from the club. The claim comes from Adria Albert, who states that sources close to the veteran midfielder are suggesting that they are waiting for Barca to table an offer so that they can evaluate the contract proposal and make a decision on his next move. Busquets has been attracting strong interest from clubs in the MLS, with Inter Miami in particular being confident of acquiring his services at the end of the season. However, the possibility of the former Spanish international staying put at Camp Nou beyond the season is not entirely ruled out at this point. Reports suggest that the 34-year-old would be open at continuing at Barcelona on a short-term contract with lower wages, but for that to happen, the club must first send a formal proposal to their captain. Despite his advancing age, Busquets has total faith and backing of manager Xavi. The midfielder has repaid the trust with some solid performances of late, especially when paired alongside Frankie de Jong in the center of the park. But with not much time left on his contract, Barcelona must act swiftly if they wish to secure his continuity for another season. Barcelona continue to show interest in keeping Busquets despite rumors of the player, desiring to leave the club when his contract comes to an end, with Inter Miami on the forefront to sign him. And as it stands right now, Barca have not even offered their first, they have not even made the first offer for a contract renewal, as Busquets is reportedly waiting for the first offer from the club. But yesterday we got a hint from some reports saying that Busquets just won by a short contract with very low wages, right? He does not want to be, to be long. If they want to extend his contract, this should be his final season. So let's see how it goes. So guys, with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, bye bye.